Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Moscova Media Podcast, brought to you by the amazing Moscova Media marketing empire known as Moscova Enterprises. Thank you guys for listening and joining us once again. Be sure to check out the digital marketing course that's in the show description so that you can get your company and brand marketing on in a very exquisite level of highness. Thank you so much again. We have listeners from all over the globe, and we are very thankful that you are here listening today, whether you are in Canada, U.S., or over in Africa. And, of course, we have many, many listeners over in Europe, Spain. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for downloading and sharing the episodes with your friends and family, posting them on social media, because we do have our own social networks, which we can definitely take your requests for show topics or guests on. Yet, without you guys sharing and putting our show out there, we wouldn't be able to reach so many different markets. So appreciate y'all so very much for doing y'all thing, and we will continue to do what we do over here at Moscova Media Podcast, providing you the best podcast episodes that you can find all over, whether you listen on Spotify, YouTube, if you like to get your YouTube on. We definitely are on there, as well as iVox, iHeartRadio, as well as iTunes, which is, our iPhone listeners, they like to use iTunes to get all the different podcast episodes uploaded as soon as they come out. And we had a great array of podcasts recently that you can find in the archives, so be sure to check back to the archives after you tap into this new episode that we have for you today. Today's Monday over here in the U.S., so appreciate everybody for the start of the week. Definitely going in strong. Got a lot of new things popping off over here as far as business-wise, so be on the lookout. If you want to tap into us different ways, go on my Instagram. You can go to the company Instagram, Moscova Enterprises, and check us out there. Or if you personally want to reach out to me, the host Vikens Moscova, I am at the Moscova on Instagram, or hit me up on Twitter, Moscova ENT, as well as Facebook. You can contact me there as well. And, we're definitely reaching out to people all over using our vast network of, thousands of people, including networks like LinkedIn. So if you reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want. Had a couple new followers this past week, so definitely appreciate y'all for tapping in and connecting with me from where you're at. Definitely enjoy connecting with all kinds of people from all over. So, I've been on a couple of different recent podcasts myself as a guest, so I want to thank those podcasters for those opportunities to reach out to the networks that way. So, again, thank y'all for what y'all do, and we will continue spreading the good vibes all over the globe. So be sure to follow and like all our posts. Be sure to make sure that you subscribe on whichever platform that you have to our episodes so that you can get them automatically. So thank you, and back to business. So on our MoscovaEnterprises.com, be sure to check out the digital marketing company that provides all different types of social media or SEO or website building that you need. That's one of our main sponsors, so definitely got to shout them out. But today we do have an amazing guest that we wanted to have come on because it's really about making sure that you guys figure out how you can attain those different skills that will separate you from your nearest competitor as you traverse the work field or even just life. But most of us want to figure out how we can get our careers in check and going into the direction that we actually would like. So it's pretty imperative that you figure out how you can study, whether you go on YouTube University or you start attaining books from highly qualified authors and teachers so that you can get yourself the skill sets as easy as possible if you're not in school right now. But if you're in school, obviously that's one of the better ways to do that. But if you're not, you definitely got to make sure that you get yourself a couple good mentors or people in the field that you want to be in so that you can attain these different leadership and management skills, as well as the interpersonal skills that we all need to be, good workers or business owners wherever we are in the world, because you want to make sure that your business can do well with or without you, and that starts by creating the foundation from the beginning. So this is actually why, I decided to have Mr. Mark A. Hirschberg on today, who's the author of the Career Toolkit, which provides essential skills for success that, no one has taught you. So you could find that book right now everywhere, or go on his website, the careertoolkitbook.com /synopsis, and you can check out a great chapter synopsis as well as a table of contents. But Mr. Hirschberg actually is drawing on nearly 20 years of teaching at MIT's Career Success Accelerator program and a career spanning half a dozen industries. Mark distills the key skills for a 21st century career into the Career Toolkit, which is, again, essential skills for success that I want to taught you. In Section 1, Career, he lays out a process for constructing an actionable career plan, then guides the reader to success both in interviews and on the job to advance along a career plan. And then in Section 2, Leadership and Management, which focuses on the fundamentals of managing and leading applicable to managers and individual contributors alike. It details the essential of a high-performing team, how to foster learning organization, how to reduce meetings by making them more effective, and much more. Unlike typical management books, these tools apply no matter what project management approach an organization uses. And section 3, which is interpersonal dynamics, Mark describes how to successfully negotiate, efficiently build a network, and effectively communicate with people from any background. A final chapter on ethics in the workplace provides guidance through common challenges every employee is sure to face at some point. Having recently graduated from William Patterson Business School, which was supported by Warren Buffett, a lot of these topics are definitely attempted to be taught in different classes. There's even a new class that was new my year, which was an ethics course that you have to take, and learning about all the different things that have happened throughout the years from different companies that have executives that have, did things that they thought they could, which they really were not supposed to. So all these topics are really, attempted to be taught in schools that cost $30,000 or more. But you could get this book for around $30, and it will teach you a lot of the foundational elements that you need so that, because the importance of these skills is well established, yet they are rarely taught in school or corporate training, leaving most people to learn only from experience. So this is why this book helps fills in a gap as these schools really attempt to do that. And again, Mr. Mark Hirschberg, who wrote the book, has done everything from tracking criminals and terrorists on the dark web to creating marketplaces and new authentication systems. Mark has spent his career launching and developing new ventures at startups and Fortune 500s in academia, and he helped to start the Undergraduate Practice Opportunities Program dubbed MIT's Career Success Accelerator, where he teaches annually. At MIT, he received his BS in Physics, BS in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, and a Master's in English in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, focusing on cryptography. At Harvard Business School, Mark helped create a platform used to teach finance at prominent business schools. He also works with many nonprofits, including Techie Youth and Plant a Million Corals. He was one of the top-ranked ballroom dancers in the country, now lives in New York City, where he's known for his social gatherings, including his Halloween party, as well as a diverse cufflink collection. Oh, awesome. I'm right in New Jersey, not too far. But Mr. Mark, we really thank you so much for being on our podcast today. It's an honor to have you on, sir.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share some of the advice I've been giving for years at MIT to your audience.
Anytime. And my audience is definitely can't wait and is very excited to hear them. Now you have this book, The Career Toolkit, which you wanted to provide so that they could fill in the gaps. What gaps did you think that were missing in schools and colleges, and what brought you to create this book?
Great question. 20 years ago, MIT, as we engage with our corporate partners, the big companies who come and hire our students, which range from Wall Street firms to high tech to the top consulting firms, as well as startups and small firms, we talk to them all the time, our career office. And what they told us is that there are certain skills they want to see, but they just can't find it. And that's not just that they can't find it in MIT students, not just that they can't find it in college grads, they can't find it across the board, from people in their 20s to people in their 60s, across all disciplines. They said there are a bunch of skills we cannot find. What are these skills? Leadership, communication, negotiation, team building, networking, ethics, career planning. These are skills they want to see in their employees across all different jobs, all different industries, but people have not been trained to think about these skills. I have seen similar research. We did this 20 years ago at MIT and continue to get feedback. I've seen similar research from other universities and from other industry experts who all say the same thing. These are the skills companies want. whether it's a small startup or a big corporation, they want to see these skills. But if you think about your education, think back to college and the courses you took whatever your major was, some marketing or science or whatever your field was, and maybe a few general classes. You might have had to take a literature class, a language class, a math class, but no one bothered to teach you these tools. Consider, we've all heard, oh, networking is so important, right? I heard that even as a little kid. Everyone said networking is so important. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You have to know how to network. Well, everyone keeps saying it's important, but no one actually stopped and said, by the way, here's how to do it. So we've seen feedback from companies have said, these are the skills we want, but they just were not being taught in universities or high school for various reasons. And that's why we created the class at MIT. And I know these skills aren't just for MIT students, they are universal. So that's why I want to put in the book to share it with everyone.
Right. And when you say these skills, I guess the playing field and everything was changing in the business world, which made sure that these skills were now needed. In your book, you highlight 3 sections in the career: leadership and management, interpersonal dynamics. Which skills specifically are you saying that are missing from people these days?
All 10 of these. There are 10 chapters in the book, which, by the way, you can read in any order. You don't have to go start to finish. If you pick up the book, you can say, I really want to work on my networking. Jump right ahead to Chapter 7, networking. Skip the first 6 if those aren't relevant to you. So you can go right into any chapter. But all 10 of these skills, these were the ones that we saw in surveys. These are the 10 skills that I consistently saw in feedback from companies saying, we can't find these skills. So I put it all together in this book. So it's a single one-stop shop for the skills you need. You don't have to go out and read a leadership book and then read a negotiation book. You can get all in one single place.
Right. So why isn't this taught in schools, do you think?
Great question. And there's 2 reasons. There's a university reason, the high school reason. High school really was designed for the industrialized workforce. High schools are a new invention. High school only goes back about 100, 150 years, at least here in the U.S., and I think it's pretty similar elsewhere. We were all working on farms. What you needed to learn, you learned from your parents. Dad taught you how to farm, how to, raise the cattle and how to grow the corn. It's only when we started to move into an industrialized workforce around the turn of the century that people had to go off to factories. Well, if you're going to work in a factory, you need to know reading, writing, arithmetic. You have to read that warning label saying, do not enter this area. You have to know how to do basic counting, not accounting, counting. So you had to learn these basic skills, and that's what high school is designed for, the real just basic skills to function in an office environment, or really back then, even just on the assembly line, as well as in just in society in general. So they're not teaching the higher level thinking. Now, the university system, that's where you're supposed to go for that. And the university system, that's about 900 years old. But here's the thing about the university system. And now I have a lot of respect for the university system. I spent a lot of time as a student, as an instructor there. But here's the thing. It's run by professors. And to be a professor, that means you got a PhD. You went very narrow and deep in the field. So let's consider if you say, I want to study marketing. So there's a whole bunch of marketing professors who have said, well, if you want to study marketing at our college, here's what you have to do. We're going to set out a bunch of classes you have to take, these introductory to marketing classes, these intermediate classes, pick a few of the advanced classes. If you take all of this, and maybe a few general classes that the university wants, but if you take all these marketing classes that we tell you, we have decided at that point we will designate you to have a bachelor's degree in marketing. Right? That's what we're saying. You take these classes and we will give you this degree that credentials you. They are not saying you are a good employee or an effective employee. They're not even saying you're good at marketing. All they're saying is this person has acquired this level of knowledge in marketing. That's it. Nothing more. And that may have been good enough in the 1960s when, as a newly minted marketing person, You said, okay, well, I'm going to go join this big corporation. They tell me sit here. My boss gives me a project to do. And when I'm done, I say, here you go, sir. He says, okay, now here's the next thing to work on. But in today's environment, you don't have that same hierarchical structure. You don't have layers of middle management. You don't have a boss who's constantly sitting on top of you saying, okay, work on this and tell me when you're done with it, and then I'll give you the next thing to do. You have these teams, these cross-disciplinary teams, where you're working with lots of different people with different backgrounds, and you have to take a lot more initiative. So just knowing the mechanics of marketing is no longer sufficient. You have to know how to communicate effectively with non-marketers. You have to know how to stand up and be a leader, even if you don't have some senior title. These are the things that you need to be effective in the workplace, whether you are an individual contributor or in management, or even an entrepreneur running your own business. These are the skills you need to be successful.
Definitely. As a person that has been in school and college myself and been taught all these different, through these different courses, I definitely see what you mean. But being an entrepreneur and being in a field allows me to see how the actual workplace has been changed in reality, because many years ago I had figured working at home and doing everything I needed to do for the businesses that I was working for, I had keyed into that many years ago because I did a lot of marketing and social media work, and to see how COVID has forced that is very interesting. But I do also see, how AI is also coming into play as people are turning away work or deciding not to go to work because of different shots. How do you see AI and artificial intelligence playing into the workspace, in the future, where, interpersonal skills or people skills were once needed, but different jobs that can be automated are now can be taken to AI? How do you see the importance of, these skills at that point?
Great question. And it's that automation that really emphasizes these skills. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at history. If you go back to the start of the 19th century, so early 1800s, we were primarily farmers. Here in the U.S., over in Europe, most of us, 70 to 90% of us, were working on farms. And then we had the Industrial Revolution. So instead of each person going out maybe with a single handheld tool and reaping the crop or planting in the spring, we had machines that could start doing it so much faster and more efficiently than we can. Of course, today you now have these massive machines that can plant or harvest and can do far more than an army of people can do, and they're all automated and controlled. So what happened is we went from a labor force where some 70 to 90% of us had to farm just to generate enough food for all of us to be fed, to now we can automate that. We don't have to go into the fields and pick wheat by hand. Machines can do it. And so that got faster and cheaper for the farms. But then there were a whole bunch of people who said, well, all I know how to do is pick wheat. Okay, well, you don't have much of a job anymore. Now, they then started working in factories and on the assembly line, which was slightly more advanced skills. And then that started getting automated, and we can see yet more advanced skills. We can become social media marketers. We can become software developers. We can do all these things today that if we had to be on the farms, we wouldn't be doing. And so what we did is we automated that rote task of being on the farm, allowing us to do something more clever or interesting, like writing software or social media campaigns. But some of that, of course, is being automated as well. So let's understand what's being automated. What does that mean for us? Let's take lawyers. Lawyers are obviously highly trained people. In addition to a 4-year college degree, they'll have 3 years of law school, and typically they'll even start out almost apprenticing when they join a firm for the first couple of years. Well, what a lawyer does, they don't stand in the courtroom and shout, "You can't handle the truth." they're actually sitting there most of the day and working on documents. They're going through their redlining documents, right? They're making editing and corrections and saying, oh, we have to add a clause about this. Or they're looking up prior case law. They're spending a lot of time doing searches about what did the court say in this case and how do we have to handle that. So what has automation done to their jobs? Well, automation's done a few things. It's helped with the searches. Originally, they just had to pore over law books, and then we started having basic search functionality like Google for court cases. But now with AI, it's become more advanced. And so you can take your court case or you can take the contract that you're working on, and the artificial intelligence is going to pick out what are the key terms, what are the key issues, your jurisdiction, everything else, and it's going to start to say, here are the relevant cases. Here's a relevant case law you need to look at. So instead of spending 20 hours trying to look through cases to find the relevant ones, the artificial intelligence says, here's the 5 most relevant cases, and you do it in maybe 3 hours. You didn't have to waste time searching and going down dead ends. Likewise, when you are adding contracts, this can do, think of it like a spell check or a grammar check, but a little more advanced. So here's a simple example. We often have dollar amounts in the contract, right? You're going to pay me $10,000. But if you happen to be in Canada and I happen to be in the U.S., the software says, wait a second, I see United States and Canada. So when you say dollars, I'm going to flag this. Did you mean U.S. dollars or Canadian dollars? Right? And that's going to catch something that I might have otherwise missed as a lawyer. So it's going to make us all more efficient. But when you think about it, like, well, this is all mechanical, right? The real value isn't did you remember to put Canadian dollars versus U.S. or did you find the right cases? That's what I expect you to do as a lawyer. That's table stakes. The software helps the lawyer be more effective. And what this allows is the lawyer can either take on more cases, or the lawyer can now say, instead of just looking up case law, with all the hours I saved, I can think more about your strategy. How are we going to handle this lawsuit? How am I going to present it in court? Or how am I going to think through more interesting things we can do in this contract? So as we automate the rote tasks, it allows each of us to work on the higher order issues, and that's more strategic. It's also more interpersonal. It's how I'm going to engage with other people, because what the software can't do is yet have that unstructured meeting where I walk into the room and say, all right, let's really think about this case strategy and let's talk about this and let me get your feedback. That's where we can invest our time. So as we automate more, the mechanics of what we do, that gets automated away, and we can focus on the higher order thinking that's based on the skills I talk about in the Career Toolkit.
No, that's pretty imperative, because a lot of people are thinking their jobs are going away. Because even with lawyers, there's websites now. Well, the website actually was just in UK, but a guy programmed a website that can help people with their traffic tickets by basically doing what you said just now that the lawyer does, but it provides them a defense that they can take to court, properly formatted and documented. As well as in Japan, there was a company that took out a whole floor of accountants and put in computers to help with that. But at the same time, I'm pretty, having worked in marketing, I understand how being able to think on your feet and be creative is something that computers still haven't taken over yet. But the minuscule tasks that we don't mind allowing them to take over is something that, is not bad. So
absolutely. Actually, accounting's a good example, right? So if all you're doing as an accountant is just saying, oh, I have to pay this check or I have to cash this check, like a 10-year-old could do that. You're not adding a lot of value. If you can automate that away, then what do you do as an accountant? You talk about, hey, how do we manage your cash flow? How do we get you a better credit line so you can expand your business? How do we do a debt offering, right? How can we do more strategic things and not just, oh, I'm going to go deposit this check? And so those are all the higher order skills, but they involve interacting with other people and not just mechanically processing checks.
Wow, interesting. So what is something readers would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I think you covered some of it in my biography. I was a competitive ballroom dancer, and I was one of the top in the country back in my 20s when I used to compete. So I went all over the United States. I went to England, used to go to the national championships in the United States for a number of years. That was a really wonderful time in my life, and I do miss competitive ballroom dancing.
Hey, I mean, maybe you could be on that show on ABC one day. You never know. Just kidding.
Dancing with the Stars. A lot of the coaches I worked with are on the show.
Oh, awesome. I noticed you also have an app. Why did you make an app, and how does it relate to the book?
One thing I found is when we read a book, and I've read lots of business books, lots of other nonfiction books, you say, oh, really interesting, and then you forget a few weeks later, right? 3 weeks after reading a book, you've forgotten 95% of it. My job isn't to sell you a book. My job is to help you be more effective. Now, you can get the content from the book, but I want to help you retain it. So the app, it's a free app. If you go to the website, thecareertoolkitbook.com, and go to the app link, you can see it will then take you to either the iPhone or Android store, and you can download the app for free. You just need to open the app once a month so we know that you're active, and then you don't even need to open the app. Each day it's going to pop up a little notification with a tip from the book. It's almost as if you went through the book with a highlighter. And so each day, and you can set the time, do you want it in the morning, in the evenings, whatever time works for you, you're going to get that notification on your phone. So you can look at and say, oh, right, here's a good negotiation tip. Great. Swipe. Done. Takes 3 seconds. But by getting that day after day, it's going to help you retain the content and improve your skill set. The other way you can use it is if, say, you're about to go into a negotiation, you're not going to necessarily remember to reread that chapter the night before. So you can just open the app and quickly swipe through those tips and get that crash course refresher. So the app is completely free, available on the Android and iPhone stores, or you can go to my website, thecareertoolkitbook.com, and go to the app and just download it right from there. And that's going to help you retain this. It's very helpful as you're reading the book. But I'll be honest, if you don't want to get the book, if you just want to get the app, I'm happy for you to do that. Although I'll note right now, because this is a live show, I'll mention this. Amazon has discounted the book. The book is selling for $4, hardcover or Kindle. They're actually losing money on the book because I know what my distributor sells it for. $4 for the book, and the app is free. So it is a total bargain right now.
Interesting. Definitely, everyone go get that app and the book so that you can supplement your mind and your lifestyle. So I was wondering, as far as the interviewing section, how can a person learn to be a better interviewee and make sure that they can, really lock in that new job by showcasing through the interview the skills that job may need? Say someone's going for a job in digital marketing, for example.
There's a lot of specific things I go through in the book, but here is fundamentally how you want to approach it. If you had to give a speech, if someone said, hey, you're going up on stage in front of 50 people, you have to do a talk, what would you do? You'd say, okay, well, I'm going to think about my talk. What am I going to say? I'm going to rehearse the talk, not memorize it word for word, but I'm going to practice it so I'm comfortable saying this. I might record myself and watch and see how I do. I might ask a friend to watch me, give me feedback. And that's how I'm going to improve my public speaking. Interviews are a form of public speaking. We might not be on stage. There might be an audience of one, and the speaking might only be in segments of 60, 90 seconds, but it is effectively the same as public speaking. So how can we use some public speaking techniques for interviewing? First, you can know what you're going to say and rehearse it. You know what many of these questions are. They're going to be, tell me what you did at this company. Tell me what's your goal in this next job. Tell me about a time you failed, or tell me about a successful team you've been part of. You know these questions, and if you don't, of course, you can Google them. Go through these questions. Rehearse them. Practice them. You can do it as you are driving in your car. You can do it as you're taking a shower, as you're cooking dinner. Just practice. Okay, if someone asks me this question, tell me about a time you failed. Okay, here's my response, and try it a couple different ways. And you're basically rehearsing your talk. It's only going to be 60, 90 seconds, but you've practiced it. So now when you get that question, just like when you're doing the speech after you're well rehearsed, you're going to be ready for it. You're going to be well prepared. But we can do even better by either recording ourselves or doing a mock interview with someone. We can then say, oh, okay, I saw how I did this. I want to really emphasize that more. Or I'm really quiet when I do this. I want to make sure I sound a little louder here. So you can use those same techniques. One other thing that we can do in interviewing, which good public speakers do, if you really want to get good public speaking, you watch other speakers. You watch other great speakers, say, wow, look at that speaker. She does something really interesting there. I like how she uses hand gestures, or I like how that guy modulates his voice, and it really kind of emphasizes his points. Okay, I'm going to start incorporating that into my public speaking. Same thing with interviewing. What really started me on the path to being a good interviewee was once I started interviewing other people, and I saw some candidates and said, wow, that guy's really great. Or that one, wow, she doesn't come across well. I started thinking about why was he great and why wasn't she, and started to incorporate those techniques into my own interviewing. So you can also interview other people. If you're in a job right now, ask to sit on interviews with other people. That's going to help you become a better interviewee.
Definitely, practice makes perfect, and listening to yourself to see what gaps, how your breath and everything will definitely make for a better presentation when looking to lock in that job. So I appreciate that. That was definitely a key answer that people that are these days are switching jobs or whatnot will definitely need, whether they're entry-level college students or executives looking to switch, because everyone's looking to figure out how they can look better in the eyes of someone else with their personal brand. So again, thank you for that. When it comes to networking, what do you think people are doing wrong these days, especially during COVID, where people are on apps like Clubhouse, which is all audio only, so people can't even see you, to people on Instagram or Facebook or even in-person networking? What do you feel people are doing wrong as far as building their network, or who should be in their network?
The mistake that people are making, and they were making it long before a pandemic, but they're making the same mistake today and will make it tomorrow, is that they are looking purely for volume. So if you think about the stereotypical networker, it's that person who walks into some event and 20 minutes later, he's got a dozen business cards. Like, oh, I met all these people. I have their cards. Great, I have networked. Well, here's the thing. Saying that you've got someone's business card, saying that you added someone on LinkedIn and this person's in your network, that's like saying I just swiped right on someone on Tinder and now she's my significant other. Right? That would be ludicrous. Right? If I said, oh, I swiped right on this girl, look, I'm now dating her. You'd say, no, Mark, you're an idiot. You're not dating her just because you both swiped right. You now, just as there's some interest, now you actually have to go and date her and convince her you're a good guy and build that relationship. You're not in a relationship yet. Same thing when you add someone on LinkedIn or you meet someone for 5 minutes and get a business card, you don't have a relationship with that person. You can't call that person and ask for favors. You have to build that relationship. Now, it doesn't mean going on dates, but it does mean connecting with that person. It might be meeting up for coffee in a week or two. It might be keeping in touch by email. It might be sending messages once in a while, following each other on social media, but having some type of interaction and building up that relationship over time. Because if you think about when you need a favor, if you were moving this weekend, you say, okay, I got to get some folks to come over. They have to help me go, move my furniture out onto the truck. Who are you going to ask? Is it someone you just met last night at the bar? Or is it a friend who you've known for 5-10 years? When we want to ask requests of our network, it comes from people who know us better, who have more trust. So it's fine to go and get those 10 business cards. If you want to add strangers to your LinkedIn network, you certainly can, but recognize neither of those creates networking. That's just step one. That's the swipe right on Tinder. Now you have to build the relationship, and that takes time. And if you think of networking as relationship building, you're going to have a lot more success.
Definitely. I've been to a lot of conferences and major events before COVID, so you definitely don't want to be that guy that's, going person to person, thinking they're networking, and, people are looking at them and as like, what's that guy doing, or why is he going from person to person with so many drinks or whatever it is. But that's definitely a key thing that people have been pointing out, and I definitely took heed to that to make sure that I'm not that guy. But even with social media, when people think they know you, or you think you know someone else, it definitely is about building rapport and building up that relationship, because again, it's usually a stranger, even if it was a referral. So to build up that rapport, so that you can add value to them in some way, will definitely help with the networking. To say you need something from them and or their network. So that's definitely pretty important, as people have effectively been pointing that out as something, that they actually find annoying. So again, thank you for that. And I know you have other things to do, and we are winding down. But again, as far as people that are trying to figure out how to lock in that perfect job, how would you say, what exactly is mental diversity? Because I read that was a part of your book, and how is that important to the interview process?
Sure. Mental diversity, and this is different than neurodiversity, similar but different. Neurodiversity is talking about hiring people who might be dyslexic or people who might be far along on the autism spectrum. But mental diversity is just recognizing that we all have different approaches to how we think. Just think of even left brain and right brain people, something we're all familiar with. And that's the most simple model. But you can take it even further, I get in a little more detail in the book. We all think differently about problems. If you get everyone who thinks the same way about a problem, then if one person comes up with a solution, they all will. But if one person can't figure it out, the others are less likely to, because everyone thinks about it the same way. By having people with different types of thinking, different approaches to thinking, left brain people and right brain people, or more diverse as you get into a more complex model, you're going to bring different perspectives and come into a better type of solution. Just as we know, heterogeneous teams outperform homogeneous teams. If all you have are white males, we know that tends to not do as well as a team that also has women, that also has minorities of all sorts of different types, because you get so many more perspectives. But even when you say everyone does have the same genome, right, even if it is all white males, or even if you say, well, we do have LGBTQ and we have different races and different ethnicities, and we're all together, but if everyone has the same thinking mode, you're still not fully heterogeneous. So by getting that mental diversity, by understanding different ways people think, and then making sure your teams engage in these different modes of thinking, you get better solutions. Likewise, we as individuals, when we're interviewing or when we communicate, have to recognize that not everyone thinks the way we do. By learning to communicate in these different styles, we can be a lot more effective during the interview process and while working in the job. Did I lose you? I think one of us might be on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was actually on mute. But that was a great point that you made. And you say that you mentioned that people are always interviewing, and corporate politics can't be ignored. What do you mean by that, and what techniques can employees use to handle corporate politics so that they could be successful?
Well, the always interviewing, I'll give you a basic example. Just the other month, I had a message, a LinkedIn message from a guy I worked with 8 years ago who said, hey, I'm at this company. We need people for an advisory board. We need folks with your background. I think you'd be great. Are you open to this? I'll introduce you to the CEO and see if it's a fit. And so I met the CEO and some board members, and they brought me on. I interviewed for that job. Yes, I interviewed with the CEO, but I really interviewed for that job 10 years ago with my former coworker. Now, I don't mean I sat down and said, hey, listen, in the future, you're going to have a job opportunity, so ask me the questions you need. But what happened was I was working with him, right? Not thinking about the future, just saying, hey, here I'm going to do my job, and let's work together and doing a good job. He got to know me. That's really how I interviewed for this job. This job neither of us knew would exist in 10 years. All of us are constantly putting out signals. I'm interviewing right now with your audience because they're getting to know me. And they might be thinking, wow, Mark has some really good points. He's an interesting guy. Maybe he'll be good for our team. They might be thinking, oh, Mark's not that interesting, or he's, his ideas are dumb, so we don't want him on our team. Right? One way or another, I'm interviewing. I'm forming an impression. All of us, in everything we do, when we're posting on social media, when we're speaking at a professional event, when we're working with our coworkers, all of us are interviewing for future roles. And it's just something to be aware of. This goes deeper into building your personal brand and how you get perceived to line you up for the opportunities that you want in the future.
Wow. Another tremendous and a great answer. Now, I feel I could ask you dozens of questions because, you're such a knowledgeable person with a ton of wisdom. Maybe we'll have you on in the future. But again, I just want to thank you so much for stopping by. Please, if there's anything else that you'd like to mention, I know you have events that you do in the city and links to how people could connect with you. Please be sure to do that at this time.
Yeah, if you'd like to learn more, you can go to my website, thecareertoolkitbook.com. You can certainly get in touch with me. You can follow me on social media. I post all the blogs that come out. I post other podcasts and events that I do there. You can also, as I mentioned, if you go to the app page, that will take you to the Android and iPhone store where you can download the free app. There's also a resources page where I link to some other good books, but also some free online resources that can take you deeper into some of these topics. And the resources I link to, I always try to link to free ones. There are some additional free downloads, how you can create a development program for free at your organization. So it's not just you getting better, but your whole team, your whole company can improve in these skills. That's completely free. All of this you can find on my website, thecareertoolkitbook.com. And of course, if you hit the buy button, you can see where to buy it. As I mentioned, right now on Amazon, both the Kindle and the hardcover book are selling for $4. It's on sale. I don't know how long they'll keep that sale, but for basically the cost of a cup of coffee, you can get the book, and I guarantee you're going to get far more than $4 in value. If you read the negotiation chapter, you'll learn how to get tens of thousands of dollars, even potentially six figures more in your earnings just by learning to negotiate better. So well worth the $4 that it costs right now on Amazon. So go get the Career Toolkit, Essential Skills for Success That No One Taught You.
Definitely. There you have it, my audience. Be sure to connect with Mark ASAP. Again, thank you, Mark, for stopping by. Be sure to have a great rest of your day, and we will definitely be sure to put the link out for everything. Thanks again for stopping by.
Thanks for having me on the show, and thank you to your audience.
Mm-hmm. And there you have it, Moscova Media Podcast listeners. The amazing Mark Hirschberg, who has the great book, The Career Toolkit, which is essential skills for success that no one has taught you. Even in just listening just now, I'm sure you guys got a lot of gems and jewels that you probably didn't hear before, or your school is most likely not teaching you. Yet these skills are becoming more and more imperative in the job market and world. Even if you're an entrepreneur and you're your own boss, quote unquote, you definitely need to figure these things out so that you can build your network, build your team, make sure that your vendors are top notch. Just there's so many different aspects, and facets to all this, which is why Mark put all that into his book. But that's why I wanted to also share, this resource with you guys and girls all over the globe listening. Appreciate y'all again. But be sure to, seek out tools and wisdom from people that really looking to provide value to you that, you can actually use, because there's so many snake oil salesmen out there. But there's definitely, ways to go about things strategically so that you can advance yourself in whichever way, you seek fit. So again, over here at Moscova Media Podcast, we will continue dropping them dimes, giving you them assists so you can drop them buckets and get yourself an MVP trophy and championship for yourself and your team, because that's what we're about, providing value and creating ways that you can really open your eyes and really think differently. And as you can see, this new term, mental diversity, there's different ways of thinking so that you can look at problems from different angles or sides. So that things could be solved more effectively and more efficiently. But figuring out how to think, that's usually the problem, or what to think, or to think the right thoughts. Especially as we get into either quantum mechanics or things like Dr. Wayne Dyer. Change your thoughts, change your life. It applies to different aspects of life and business and work. So, again, thank you guys for listening at Moscova Media Podcast. We will be continuing to drop them amazing episodes. Check out the archives for some great episodes. Just Google me, Vikens Moscova, to see the different other platforms that I am on. Be sure to check out Mr. Mark A. Hirschberg's website so that you can attain what you need, or go to Amazon for his book. But again, the Career Toolkit book.com. And if you want to check out the synopsis, put a / at the end of that. So that would be the Career Toolkit book.com/synopsis. And again, he says he has a lot of free resources available for you as well, as the app that you can get on Apple or Android phones today. So again, there's so many ways to get help out there, guys and girls. Don't make excuses, make solutions. Oh, I think I might have to copyright, or I have to write that one down. No, I'm just joking. But here I am, your boy. Fire alarm. Let me end the show on that note. Thanks again, guys. It's your man, Vikens Moscova, here in my apartment. And I guess they're checking to make sure everything is safe out there. But thank you, guys, and be sure, and girls, and thank you. Follow me at Instagram /vmoscova, or anywhere, really. I'm on all major networks. So appreciate y'all. Thank you, and thank you again. Peace. It's your man, Vikens Moscova.